Let's start the week off with a little bit of action in the crypto market. And of course, a lot of people looking at Bitcoin as maybe a leader in where the market may show some direction based on how the presidential candidate is all going to line up. We'll break it all down for you guys today. My name is Paul Barrow. Welcome back into Tech Path. If you are here on the live stream and maybe you're catching this after the show, first thing is make sure and subscribe to the channel. It also does help us out in terms of understanding if you like the live. So just let us know in the comments down below. I do want to get started. Before I do, I want to thank our sponsor, and that is iTrust Capital. If you're looking at long-term holding of your crypto and you want to do it in an IRA, you can do that and improve your tax position. All you have to do is jump over to iTrust Capital. A lot takes place over on iTrust Capital. Buy and sell crypto, gold, and silver with your IRA. And of course, you can join over 200,000 accounts out there right now and over 9 billion in transactions. All you have to do is use our link down in the description. It's going to give you a $100 funding reward if you decide to go that direction. And also, we're nearing a time where now you may be in a position where you want to try to kind of improve your tax position. This, of course, is one of the ways to do it. So check it out. We'll go from there. All right, let's get into a couple of points right here. I want to expand my screen out a little bit here and run over to a couple of things that are happening this week. Apple's got their big event. They're launching a new phone. Not a big deal, but I think the big issue this week that will most likely move the markets is going to be based on the debate happening tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Also, we'll see the CPI for August come out. This is a critical CPI because this could give us a pivot on inflation. If we continue to see inflation declining, then we're most likely locked in for a quarter point adjustment in September. And then, of course, you have the ECB rate decision, most likely a second rate cut expected. That will accelerate what we'll see out of the European Central Bank. Other things happening out there, obviously the September S&P has not been in a good position, but we could see a little bit of a turnaround on that. Other things that are kind of going into that, of course, is the global market volatility has returned. 4.1 trillion in market cap last week, so largest in 2 years. This is also twice as much as the previous large drawdown. This was in 2024, so pretty big deal. If you look at the U.S. market alone, it accounted for 54% of the value drop. That was significant. And the S&P, as well as the NASDAQ, fell by 4.3 and 5.8% last week. So some significant numbers really starting to address into the market. Now, many people have been looking at this along with gold as being a potential alternative as a hedge. There's a lot of people looking at, all right, well, if it's not moving in the S&P 500, where is the market moving? Could we be in a position where crypto now starts to look as another asset to go into? One thing I want to jump to is whether or not the rate cuts will continue to drive interest in the market. I want to go to a clip real quick. This is Morgan Stanley. Let's take a look.
September 18th is the date. What do you think is going to happen on that date?
I think they're going to cut, unsurprisingly. 25 basis points is our call. I know there's a lot of back and forth in markets now between 25 and 50. The last jobs report was fine. It was well above something weak like 100, but well below something strong like 200. And so they're left with this assessment of what's going on. And that's where I think the spending data, which have been pretty solid, come in, and they are going to see the economy as fine. And inflation's coming down pretty notably, so they need to start cutting.
And then the other big question is, what do you think is going to be on the table in terms of cuts for the rest of the year? Because there is an argument to be made. If you think there's a whole bunch of them coming, you just rip the Band-Aid in September.
I mean, I think that argument is going to have to be made at the table by several people. Whenever there's an FOMC meeting, the staff prepare these documents with at least three different choices for what to do, and one of them has got to be 50 basis points. And I think part of the argument is both. If things are trending down, why not get a little bit ahead of it? But the other part is inflation is now very clearly trending down. Inflation is now not the threat it had been before.
No, it's an employment issue.
Absolutely.
So the question is, you don't think it's that the employment issue is a big issue?
I think Jay Powell has to corral a whole committee, and I think he's got them moving in the right direction. I think he's got them moving for rate cuts. I don't think he's got them all set to start doing much more dramatic cuts.
All right, so a few things to kind of hit there. And just, in the sense of the thing to worry about, and this is something that, we've talked about for quite some time, is that jobs are really the big issue here. I think, yes, inflation could kind of get a little bit sideways here for a while, possibly, But the big number is going to be jobs. And I know that a lot of people look at the last report and say, oh, it wasn't as bad as we thought. But in the reality, it was still a lot less in terms of the jobs that were expected to be created by the U.S. economy. If economy is so strong, we should be creating at least the bare minimum of what the anticipation is, and that was not necessarily the case. The other thing that's always surprising to me is the amount of adjustments that are done on these numbers months, if not, quarters down the road. So it's likely we may get a correction on these jobs numbers, which could be even worse. But at this time, of course, it's normal. So that's the thing that has been happening. And if you look at the downward adjustments on most of these, it has been significant over the last couple of years. So that in itself, I think, is a problem that you have to just consider. If you go to the 6-month Trueflation, we'll kind of look at this overall. This is the aggregate inflation rate that we've seen over the last little bit. And I think the key here, when you think about inflation in general, go back and look at, and you can calculate this, go back and look at the 2020 inflation as to where it was right now. We're talking about almost 30%. That's real inflation dollars in terms of what you can spend on and what you can invest in. So that's pretty significant, I think, when you look at the comparison. The other things you have to kind of consider is what kind of impact does this have on Bitcoin and the market itself? Because the characteristic here still draws into, is there a lot of institutional capital going into Bitcoin and continuing to go into Bitcoin? Well, with that, we've got the longest outflow streak for Bitcoin and ETFs of 1.2 billion withdrawn in just 8 days. That's a pretty significant amount, no matter what position you're considering. We've got a clip on this where Saylor talks about this, where it may be a little different position, but mixed economic data, coupled concerns about the impact of conditions on global growth, all got into risk aversion among investors, saying, hey, maybe we need to pull a little bit into some cash on the sidelines. Also, crypto rose about 1% to hit a 54, which was a slight move, even though we've got a big event happening right now, which is Token 2049. But I think that in itself should be happening, and we should be seeing a lot more activity in the market than what we are right now. Even though it is up to around 56K, the correction on Bitcoin coming down, and I think where a lot of people thought we might be in the 49K range over last week. Right now, the markets are definitely very volatile. And of course, some of the things they have to kind of consider is what's happening in the betting markets and of course the predictive markets. Kalshi, of course, just legalized trading on elections in the US. I know there is a letter of the CFTC going back out trying to get the judge to hold on this, but essentially this would be a big deal for financial markets where you can bet on elections. And one of the things they're talking about here is the election markets delayed until Friday at the earliest, and this is basically what I was getting at, is the judge is now looking at this, and of course the question is whether or not the CFTC is going to get successful in trying to get the judge to delay this, because if they do approve it, guess what becomes legal in the U.S., or most likely could be argued that would be legal in the U.S., and that would be Polymarket. And of course, if you look at where Polymarket is right now in the 2024 election, you've got Trump heading it out right now at 52. And some of the other polls are showing Trump in a very strong position. Could this be the position that if Trump, if you're, whether you're pro Bitcoin, pro crypto, blockchain innovation, if Trump is the candidate that is going to support that, does that mean the market itself adjusts around that, meaning we get a pump on the market and we see a full bull run? Many people say, well, maybe that's not necessarily going to be the case. If Kamala wins, we could be, continuing on down the track that we have been, which has been very anti-crypto overall. If you look at that chart, you can also look in general at our own political tracker, which we do. And our political tracker, you can go over to our website, just click on that right there. You'll see where we also track the sentiment of these two. Trump has been accelerating on this for quite some time, so it kind of lines up with what's happening over on Polymarket. But here's the question. Bernstein is now predicting a Bitcoin price for around 80 to 90K if Trump wins the presidential race, or around 30 to 40, wow, if Harris is elected. And a couple of points that he's making, or they're making here. Bitcoin is a Trump trade, according to analysts at the research and brokerage firm Bernstein. However, in the event of the victory for current Vice President Kamala Harris, they predict Bitcoin to break the current 50K floor, which is a significant floor to break. It's been one that has been very difficult to achieve. for Bitcoin, and that could be the factor. So Tuesday night this week is going to be a huge night for, I think, the markets and also for crypto. The markets could go one way in terms of how Kamala kind of answers the rounds of debate questions. And I think also the markets could go another way if Trump actually comes in and trounces her. But I'm looking for some very interesting things to happen after this debate. Not necessarily I think the debate, Trump wins it hands down. Sure, there will be a lot of mudslinging, but in general, I think it will be positive for the crypto community. But I'm anticipating the moves after that, because I think that's when you're going to start seeing political plays to deal with what the aftermath of what that might look like. So it's going to be interesting to watch. Now, here's Michael Saylor saying Republicans have more progressive views on crypto. Democrats are drifting more into the middle. And this is getting to the point where it is a bit more bipartisan. And I do agree. I've talked to many, many analysts and a lot of people on both sides of the position. And I think we are in a position right now where maybe we could actually have a pro position around crypto, meaning a lot of candidates who are challenging a lot of these seats, including Deaton and what's going on with him and Senator Warren, could actually be a real opportunity. We will be dropping, by the way, we will be dropping a video. So you guys stick around. If you're not watching the channel after this live stream, check out, we're going to drop a video with Meta Lawman. We're talking about that very issue, is what are John Deaton's chances up there in Massachusetts. But kind of interesting. At this point, Republicans have shifted to way progressive, which is crazy. And the Democrats are drifting into the middle, which I think, again, this just gets it into a position where this is good. I mean, crypto is doing what it's supposed to be doing, and that is become bipartisan. We don't care what side of the aisle you're on. We're all in the same boat when it comes to a single issue, and that is crypto is the future. Other things that are hitting right here, and if crypto is the future, you have to have a government that is behind it. Senator Schumer, again, does another rug pull. Nothing that wasn't anticipated, but he sent a letter to his Senate colleagues where he mentioned priorities for passing bipartisan legislation. Guess what was not on the list, and that was cryptocurrency was not on the list. So again, after the Crypto for Harris town hall, it is a reality that the Democrats do not do what they say they're going to do, and they do what they want to do. So there you go. It's Schumer back in the control. Remember, he controls the Senate and a lot of what makes it through. So do we get anything done this year from a regulatory standpoint? I'd say it. I don't think so. I think that's probably not going to happen this year. Now, one positive thing that could happen for the S&P is we've got a little bit of a track right now to post a green day. This will be our first one in September. So is it a correction? Are we looking at a potential move here? And remember, I think that the S&P has more impact on how these debates turn out than anything. And I mean, the debates having more impact on the S&P. So be watching that very closely, because tomorrow night will be a huge tell as to how the market will respond to where all of this is happening. Make sure and drop some questions in over on the chat. We'll try to get to some of those. And hit the poll if you guys haven't already voted on the poll. I want to kind of get your opinion on that. And I know there's quite a few questions in there, so we'll get to some of those here in a bit. I want to go to another clip here. This is Saylor talking about his strategy versus the S&P. Take a look.
But it's been a great journey since August 10th of 2020. MicroStrategy has bought about $8.3 billion worth of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's up 44% a year on average since then. The S&P is up 12%. And since we levered it, we're up 825%. The number one performing stock in the S&P is NVIDIA, up 821% as of Friday. So we beat every single company in the S&P index using a Bitcoin strategy.
Does MicroStrategy now do anything else?
We still run the software business, and it's generally a cash cow for us. But our primary business is a Bitcoin development company. So what we're doing is we're securitizing Bitcoin. We're selling convertible bonds for people that don't want the full volatility and all the risk of Bitcoin. Some people want 150% risk, right? So some people want highly levered equity, and they
point he's playing in really strong there in terms of the position that MicroStrategy is becoming a true Bitcoin advocate in the markets. And Granted, there are some people that would argue, well, there's some other assets out there that have performed a little bit better than Bitcoin over the last couple of years, including what you look at when you think about gold. So many people saying that. ETF outflows, though, is a big question mark because with the 1.2 billion going out in such a short period of time, is this a indicator of what's to come, or is it simply the market doing a little bit of movement and maybe it repositions how many investors are looking at Bitcoin? Here's what Saylor had to say about that. Take a look.
Right now, I think I just saw a headline that $1.2 billion in outflows took place out of the Bitcoin ETF. And I'm curious sort of what you think is going on with the impact of the ETF on the price of Bitcoin.
I think generally it's been a good thing and it's created more demand. But you got to keep in mind that Bitcoin is smart, fast, strong money. So on a Saturday night, if you're worried about a missile strike, you can't teleport your $10 million apartment to Singapore, lever it up 10 to 1, and short $100 million worth of New York real estate. But you can short $100 million worth of Bitcoin by borrowing $10 million. So you have a lot of fast money traders, a lot of volatility, and
Quite a bit happening there. Our clips keep cutting short there. It's weird. But the point he was getting at is volatility starts to move in the market. I think that does kind of position Bitcoin back into a position where it's more of a trader play versus, one of these non-volatile plays such as the ETFs. So definitely a difference in the market. So everybody's asking me, what about ETH? What about ETH? Ether is poised for a price breakout after a summer slump. This, of course, is being looked at by a couple of traders. I don't know if we will see a major breakout here, and I'll show you some things here, but this is looking at a chart pattern that could set to break the downtrend that we've been looking at for quite some time. I mean, this has been one that we've lived in for a while in terms of a downtrend. So are we in a position right now? I'm kind of curious on your trading and on some of the altcoins and just in general, some of the crypto investments that you're making. What is your number one? Let me know in the comments. Just put your call sign out there, for your crypto of choice. What is moving and what will you look at long term? If you're going to hold ETH, hold Sol, hold AVAX, hold Chainlink, or something else. I mean, we got a lot of people that love Cardano, Caspa, Say, name it. Let me know. And of course, we got a couple other things happening right here. And this, of course, is Forbes is rolling out a blockchain-powered loyalty platform. Now, this is something that I think a lot of people do not necessarily understand yet. We do a lot to try to kind of cover this space in the sense of what is happening around crypto being used inside of loyalty mechanisms. Because remember, if you think about the potential of what crypto can be for the markets, you have to look at the opportunity of what blockchain can be for things like wallets, especially around collectibles. Collectibles often flow into loyalty points. Those loyalty points need to be tracked. And there's a lot of companies that have been leading the way on this. And one of them that we talk about quite a bit has been Avalanche. And I think that's the one you've got to continue to watch. Here was Forbes talking about this. We're developing a loyalty program that not only rewards our users, but also offers meaningful and tangible benefits. What does that sound like to you guys? It sounds like what? An NFT? Yes. Yeah. Loyalty program will feature a diverse range of products, including gift cards for major banks. Again, this is where I think traditional Web 2 businesses will start to truly understand how to utilize this. And some of the blockchains that are going to do really well with this, I believe, are going to showcase in the loyalty category. And of course, the ones that do that, best of all, right now, I'm anticipating Avalanche is going to do a lot of announcements at their upcoming event coming down the pipe. So it's going to be a pretty big deal to watch. We did a whole video on this, actually. It was this video right here. Avalanche doing a 100x. Basically, this was looking at the size of the market capacity for where growth was going in a lot of different areas that Avalanche was excelling in and starting to do in terms of retail Web 2. They have a whole platform. There's a whole platform out there called TYB that we focused in on that video. Go check that video out because it'll give you an indicator on where some of these technologies are going outside of the crypto sphere and more into the use case, which is a lot of times overlooked by most people who are investing, especially in crypto in general, because most of you guys, as you know, are in it for the trade. We will get to some questions. I know the guys have a poll. Let's take a look at the poll real quick. All right, here we go. Bitcoin reaching 90K end of November. Yes, regardless of who wins. Wow, nice little tie there. Not happening. So very bullish on the poll here is that end of November, just getting past the election and having an idea of where the market is going. I guess this is the trend there. I don't know. That's definitely a question mark. Let's go to a few questions. Again, if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, I ask you to do that right now. Just click the subscribe button. And obviously you're here on the live stream, so click that bell. But if you're not on the live stream and you're clicking the subscribe button right now, do click the bell so you'll catch these live streams when we go live. Carrie says, AVAX most upside potential right now out of the top 20. I'm in agreement with you on that one, Carrie. I still think that Avalanche is, they're doing so much in the way of, and this is the interesting thing. If you look at 3 major events happening, I love that, Mohammed. Avalanche going to 0. Not going to happen. But if you look at the 3 major events, okay, you've got Ripple swell, you've got breakpoint happening, token 2049 right now. Market's not really, even though it has corrected some. And then, of course, you have AVAX doing their event in Argentina. So we're going to get some announcements out of some of these. And the question is, who are you betting on that's going to have the most? That's the one. I think Avalanche might have the most. Jimmy says, no one talking about Aave. We did a whole video on this last week about the value of what Aave would be bringing to the market. So go back and check it out. You need to watch some of the shows. Let's see here. Thompson says, hold whatever. I'm not going anywhere until next year. Altcoins need at least 3 months after. Yes, that is true. If you look at the chart, let me pull up the Bitcoin dominance chart real quick. Look at this Bitcoin dominance chart. I mean, this is insane. This is on the daily. I'll just show you how much this thing has been trending up. And that's the point you have to consider. There is no way I think the market is in a position right now, unless we see that this is the end of a bull run. Do you think that's the case? I don't believe that's the case right now. So for sure. Seth says gold has done well. Decent savings account, but not an investment. I would agree with that if you look at the gold chart. I mean, Peter Schiff would not agree with that. You know, that's not a bad chart to be looking at. That's the daily, guys, from that bottom right there in October of last year. What did gold do on that? Up from there to where we are right now. Not bad, 37%. Hello. Peter Schiff is in high cotton right there. Are you out of a fin? Yes, we are out of a fin completely. Not investment advice, but we have, unfortunately, they just did not anticipate the moves that were happening, I think, at some of the markets over there. XRP should be a good winner. Could be. I'm anticipating a lot of activity coming out of the Ripple event. We're planning to go to that event, so mainly to catch some of the executives and some of the speakers there. So we'll try to bring that to you guys live here from Miami. Poll was very bullish. I agree. Yeah, Seth, it was. At Warren. Okay, so Quartz, should we sell ETH for Sol? Well, I don't give financial advice. What I can tell you this. If I was looking at new moves right now, I would still think Avalanche, because Avalanche is very, very low priced. Sure, there's been $14 AVAX and there's been $10 AVAX, but you know, we may not see $100 Solanas again. So which one is the better value to buy currently? You know, I would say AVAX might be the better. ETH versus Sol, then I would still say Solana if that was my only two to go. Does ETH get a pump? I just don't know if it's going to get the kind of moves that some of these other tokens are going to get. With this type of headline, it won't happen. Yeah, well, you know, these are all, you know how YouTube works, right? If there's 90K Bitcoin by the end of November, when would you guess the altcoin pump? Mid-December. End of November, 60 to 90 days after that, you know, because you're going to have markets just to that. And then, of course, liquidity income. So, yeah, you could see early 2025. What do you think about Avalanche going 100x? Well, 100x from where it is right now, I don't think the tokenomics can support that, but I definitely see a 10x, maybe a 10 to 12x on AVAX. Let me look at the AVAX chart real quick. All right, so you can see where it has come from right there. Look at that nice move. You look at pre-run up. This is back here in October of last year to that high right there. Nice 600% move to $65. Do we see that kind of move again, back to that position? That would still take us in another 166%. But where does it go from there? I think that's the bigger question playing out on Avalanche right now. That's why I think it's in a position right now for potentially, I think a lot of people do like it for that reason. ADA is going to go to 10x, 20x from here in the first quarter of 2025. I like that, Jesse. I love the fact that the Cardano lovers never give up. That's what you got to love about the tribalism of crypto. You won't get 100x in the top 50 coins. Yes, I agree with that, Cordon. Do you think XRP hits 3 by the end of year? Appreciate it. Okay, I don't know. XRP, if it goes $3, that'd be pretty significant. I mean, even on the win, we're on the daily. Even on the win back there, I just don't see it. No, I don't think a $3. Now, if Bitcoin goes to the kind of numbers we're talking about, could XRP accelerate? Sure, yes, it could. Like a lot of the top 10. Now, does it accelerate that much? I mean, that would be a significant move for XRP to do that. What are we talking about here? $3, 6x in that period. Altcoin season after rate cuts. I think it would take after the second or third rate cut to see an altcoin season start to continue, because that's going to give the validity into the market and also the liquidity that you need to get into altcoins. So that's the thing that you have to look for in those markets. Like I said, if you guys are not part of the Diamond Circle, get in. It's a great place to get additional content from me. We've started doing our market update videos there that I only do over in the Diamond Circle. The way you can get those, of course, is just subscribe down below. We leave a link. Check that out. And of course, as I said, if you're not commenting on these videos, whether you like them, you don't like them, you have a token you do like that we don't talk about, let us know, because that's how we get feedback from you guys. And it's really a good way for us to understand if we're doing our best job in terms of our research and doing what you guys are interested in around topics and content. So make sure and just drop it down below. And of course, follow me on X @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.